What's going on, you guys? Kenny here, also known as SolidFan85. It's kind of late night right now. It's 12:30 a.m. I should be getting to bed. But I wanted to share a story with you guys that provides a little bit of, I guess you can call it romantic closure. A little while back, I did a video talking about girls in my life, girls I've really good friends with, dated, had a relationship with. And there was one girl that I mentioned, and her name was Leslie. This was the very first real friend I ever had. I had a big crush on her. Uh, I'm not going to give a last name, but I wanted to share a story about something. To try to be as quick as possible. Because in instances in life, there are times when we rarely get closure, where we rarely have something happen that helps solidify and really kind of, in a way, put an end to a chapter in our lives, especially when it comes to people. Now, Leslie and I have been in touch over the years off and on. She's always been a fantastic friend and always will be, but life has a way of taking people down different paths. But when we were kids, we hung out a lot. I lived in, this was in Grand Prairie, Texas. I'm not going to give any specifics, but there was an elementary school. I'm not going to give a name, but behind it, there was a very big hill that sloped down. Now, we both went to the same school. This was about right before middle school. I was about to enter a point in my life to where I was about to leave everything I knew behind and move to a different state. Thus is life. It happens. But this chapter in my life that Leslie was a part of has always stuck with me because it's really when I started getting into video games. It's when I started really exploring what I enjoyed as a boy, as a guy. So there was a Blockbuster there. We lived right across from a Winn-Dixie, which was a local store chain here locally. I don't know if Winn-Dixie's still around, but behind the school, at the local school where we went to, like I said, there was a huge sloped hill. There was a baseball field, and she lived right down at the bottom of the hill. We were really good friends. Like I said, she was my very first crush. Always be a very special girl to me. Before I left, the day before I left school, I was a kid with a big heart. I was a kid with romantic ideas, and I use the term romantic as in bigger than life, big expectations kind of thing. There was a part of me that at that age, you get ideas in your head and you hope they work out, but as you get older, things change. So I had it in my head that Leslie and I would always be friends. She'd always be a very special girl to me. There, down at the bottom of the hill, there was a small park. There was a school, a sloped hill. Down at the bottom of the hill was a park, just a small park, swing set, and a wooden picnic table. On that wooden picnic table, I had what I'd gotten for Christmas that year, or the year before, a Swiss Army knife. I'd had it with me that day. I didn't take it to school, but I had it in my backpack. And that day, I left school. I was honestly kind of depressed because I knew I was leaving the next day. I knew I was moving. It was my last day with my friends and my very special friend. And a couple of months before, I had won a pinball tournament. Pinball is not what you think it was. It's basically a combination of dodgeball with bowling pins. 2 pins are set on each side. The opposing teams, the first to knock down both pins would win, or the first to knock out either player on each side would win. We'd done really good. We had a tournament there at the school. I had made a winning play. I was a bit of a loser back then, but I always remember it because I knocked down the last pin in the game, and they wanted me to be on a tournament team. It was just a highlight moment. But that day after school, I went down to the bottom of the hill, took out my Swiss Army knife. I remember it because the first time I opened that thing, I got a scar right there on my pinky. You could probably barely make it out. But I cut myself. And it bled a little bit, you know, and it's still there. But there was also something I left behind that I would find later in life. Aside from this, which I always carry, I'm not sure if it'll ever fully heal, but there are remnants of it. I left what some people did back then. And I'm sure people still do it today. They'll usually carve it in a tree or in a fence somewhere or somewhere like that. But in this picnic table, I put the initials KM and LH. KM, me, and LH, Leslie. I'm not going to give a last name. And then I put a heart around it. And then I kind of etched an arrow, like a Cupid arrow, through the heart, going at an upward angle. I sucked at drawing, but I etched it. I didn't know what was going to happen, but I had talked to Leslie a couple of days before. I hadn't told her that I was moving because I couldn't. I didn't want to, you know. Anyway, it was bittersweet. I ended up moving. My mom got remarried, and moved to a different state. Well, fast forward about 17 years later. I'm about 26. That was back in fifth grade, sixth. I think it was sixth grade. Yeah, I think it was around sixth or seventh grade. I'm now around 20, 24, 25 years old. This is just a year or two, maybe a little bit sooner, before I meet my first wife. I'm working in the area. I'm staying with my folks because I just had to break a lease because I lost my job. First and only lease, by the way. I'm very proud of that. But that I've ever broken. But they live in the area. They work in the area. So I'm living on site with them. I'm literally about 3 blocks away from where everything used to be. And I'm walking around one day. I'm just exploring the neighborhood, kind of my old stomping ground for the most part. And then I remember, I come across the elementary school. I see the hill. And I'm walking down it, and the picnic table is still there. The baseball field was gone. The school's obviously been redone over the years. Same name, but it was updated. There's some things have changed, as time does. I mean, you're talking 17 years nearly. Maybe 15 to 17. It's hard to really gauge. But anyway, I come across the table. And I swear, the same initials are right there. They're worn, they're weathered, and they're faded. But they're there. KM and #. It's a weird like plus sign with a slant on it. LH. I get goosebumps thinking about it. I don't know if that picnic table is still there. That was nearly 10, 11 years ago. But I felt a bit of closure with that. Like I said, I've been in touch with Leslie over the years off and on. But this is a girl that I will always remember, always has a piece of my heart, and is always in my heart. And last I spoke with her, she was going through a bit of a tough time. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to speak with her since. I don't know how time will find things or what may happen, but since I went back that day and I saw the picnic table, I saw what I drew into it. I know that she still had family living in that area. I didn't really seek anything out. I don't know if I regret that or not. I don't know if I ever, maybe knocked on the door, talked to her family, say hi or whatnot, because I was in and out. Back in the day, I was in and out, hanging out with her, meeting her sister and grandparents, stuff like that. It might have been like a really kind of thing. They may not have even remembered me. I'm not sure, but there's some great memories. And to see that around 17 years later, that picnic table is still there. Obviously, it was falling apart. Honestly, one side of the bench was gone, like smashed in half on the seat. The other seat was still good, but it was mounted to the ground. Like it was on a concrete platform. It was mounted to the ground, and it's probably gone by now. But after I saw that, it really kind of helped me close a chapter in my life to realize that this girl was special to me, always will be. And it was just really, really cool to feel that. There's been a few moments in my life to where I felt something similar, but it's one of those rare moments to where it's just a solid, familiar feeling of knowing that I was able to come back to something and it was still there without me being aware of it at all. I just remembered that night, and there it is. But it also taught me a lesson. You can't live in the past. People will always be friends. There will always be a familiarity in faces and things you may have done in the past to leave behind something. But you've got to move forward. Time doesn't stop. Your age doesn't stop. Your body doesn't stop. And your heart will always have special memories of very special people. So anyway, just a quickie late night vlog. I wanted to share it with you guys, and if you made it this far, thanks for watching. This is a true story. Obviously, every 98% of the stuff here on the channel is real. I may exaggerate a little bit in a few rare instances, but I'll tell you if I'm exaggerating, I'll just be like, no, that wasn't real. But this was a chapter in my life that was something else, man. And I'm not sure how often people get an event like that in their life. How often you can kind of go back and see something that is really special to you, that's really dramatic in a lot of ways, that you really don't see in movies or you read about in books. It's about the only way you really experience it. But I'm pretty lucky in that manner. So anyway, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment. Remember, you're awesome. Never let the world tell you otherwise. See ya.